Well, hello. Welcome to Nation's Literary Society. I'm Diana Davis. Today, we will marvel over the fascinating era of Puritanism. Enjoy as my friends and I give you an inside look into the writers, the historical events, the artists, the fashion, and the music of this Puritan era. But what is Puritanism? This era between 1472 and 1750 was a move to a more Christ-centered lifestyle. Puritanism itself is the high moral standards with the extreme hostility towards social pleasures. This new age had two major yet conflicting themes. There was idealism, which is a strive toward noble principles, and pragmatism, which is the practical approach to problems and other affairs. There wasn't much music recorded before this era, but the American Revolution brought along an immense variety of music, such as folk songs, ballads, dance tunes, psalms, and sonatas. Throughout this presentation, you will hear some of the songs from this era. First, we will take a peek at some of the historical events that happened during the Puritan era.
To free religious persecution, Puritans migrated to America so they can live with people who held similar beliefs. A group of separatists called the Pilgrims boarded the Mayflower to live out this dream in 1620. When they landed, they compacted the Mayflower Compact, promising they would keep the Pilgrims together. While the Puritans were settling in, preparing for the winter, a leader of the Wampanoag people named Squanto came to the camp. He helped the early settlers grow corn and use fish to fertilize the fields. That fall, they celebrated the harvest, eating foods of deer, corn, and roasted beef. This was the first recorded harvest gathering. Jonathan Edwards began preaching powerful sermons in Northampton, Massachusetts in 1734. This brought about the Great Awakening, which was rapidly growing religious revival of the 1730s.
Next, we'll jump right into the Puritan artists who used their artwork to reveal to the world what they really stood for.
Painting was not popular to the Puritans in America. This was because they did not have the money to train and employ artists. Still, people hired those who could capture their likeness on canvas. These painters were hired because the Puritans wanted to record the glory of an individual. Portraits were often known as shades. A shade was able to show what someone stood for and the goals they accomplished. The main idea for Puritan paintings was to appreciate the things that last. One of the more notable painters was Thomas Smith, a Puritan artist from Boston who painted a self-portrait that included dress and had symbolism. Smith's paintings had the style that embodied the rise of elegant taste in paintings. This style emphasized on the use of shadow, dark, and light. Another notable form of art are the carvings on the headstones of graves. Headstones usually had carvings of skulls, angel wings, and crossbones. These things often symbolize the position of a person in God's design. Puritans also displayed design in their furniture. Chairs tended to have an architectural design in the sense that it had a straight, vertical, and horizontal piece, like a building. This often resembled the structure of a church with steeples.
The last two topics today are writers and fashion, once again demonstrating the Christ-centered and modest lifestyle of the Puritan era.
Anne Hutchinson was a Puritan woman who led the dissident church discussion, held Bible meetings for women and men, and interpreted theological sermons. Some of these accomplishments caused her to be accused of antinomianism, which resulted in her being banished from the Massachusetts Bay Colony. Hutchinson is a key figure in the study of the development of religious freedom in England's American colonies and the history of women in ministry. Here is an excerpt from one of her journals.
I am Lord Mistress Anne Hutchinson, one who stood trial from November last to this day. My sentence for following your word is banishment and excommunication. So say the ministers of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, and there are none who dare defy them. My 8 children and I pack what belongings we can carry and make ready to join my husband William in Aquidneck, a place where other Puritan outcasts have found refuge.
William Bradford was an influential leader during the Puritan era. He was elected several times to be the governor of Massachusetts and authorized the holiday that Americans call Thanksgiving. His journal was called Of Plymouth Plantation, and here is an excerpt from his journal. In these hard and difficult beginnings, they found some discontents and murmurings arise amongst some, and mutinous speeches. But they were soon quelled and overcome by ye wisdom, patience, and just and equal carriage of things by ye govern and better part, which clave faithfully together in ye main. That which was most sad and lamentable was that in 2 or 3 months' time half of their company died, especially in January and February, beginning ye depth of winter, and wanting houses and other comforts, being infected with these scurvy and other diseases, which this long voyage in their inaccommodate condition had brought upon them. So as there died sometimes 2 or 3 of a day, and ye foresaid time, that of 100, and odd persons scarce 50 remained. Men and women both avoided bright colors, shiny fabrics, and over-ornamentation. Most colors were dreary and dull, and consisted of brown maroonish, dull green, yellow, or yellowish-brown colors. The fabric that was used was usually wool, linen, lace, and embroidery. Women's daily clothing consisted of coif, shift, waistcoat, apron, petticoat, and shoes. Men's daily clothing consisted of a felt hat, ruff, dubois, cuffs, breeches, garters, stockings, and shoes.
We hope you've enjoyed yourself and now know a little bit more about the Puritan era. We'll see you again next time here on National Literary Society.